So we replaced the regulator on the driver's side back window, but the passenger side back window actually didn't work right since I bought the car, and we had just, the window was kind of loose in there, so we had just taped it up for the time being. And so since I had the success with the other regulator, I figured I'd go ahead and pop the panel off this and see what was going on. What I discovered is that the window, so you have these two hands basically that hold the window in, right? Well, it looks like perhaps maybe somebody had replaced the regulator at some point, and so what I discovered is, now I took the C-clamp off the back of the knob that's on the arm of the regulator, right? And you see that in the other video, in order to pop it out of the groove. Well, there actually is a hole at the end of that lateral piece there. The idea, I guess, is that you can disattach it, right? So you take it off the glass, and then it's free, and then you can slide it up and pull the arm of the regulator through that. Now, I didn't do that on the other side. Like I said, you know, I pulled the C-clamp off and fed it through, put the washer on the back, and put it back on, which I think in retrospect is actually the better way to do it, even though you can tell that that hole is there. It's designed to take the regulator arm off. But the problem is that when it, you know, again, I presume that somebody had taken it off at some point, because that clamp that holds onto the glass was loose, and it's just frictioned in there, and there's no way to adjust it. It's just a, you know, a factory clamped on. It's not a bolt that you can tighten or anything. So the problem was that it was just absolutely no friction on the glass. You go down, and the glass just stays in place, because there's a good amount of friction in, there's this felt that runs all the way down, so it actually holds the glass in on both sides pretty good. It gives it a good amount of friction, so that friction would hold the glass in place, and the arm would lower and disconnect, and then, you know, not reconnect. In fact, when I pulled the panel off, that lateral piece just completely fell out of there. So I had to take these bolts out to get this piece off, so I could feed it back onto the regulator arm, and then reattach that on this vertical riser piece. So you can see what I've done here. Again, this is where the two clamps are. First thing I did was on the bottom of the glass, I put duct tape like this, right? Just like the clamp was going to go. Multiple layers in order to give it friction and thicken it, right? So that the arms, even though the little hands are looser, you know, this would give it plenty of friction. Then I also ran a couple layers of duct tape over the end. Now, you want to make sure that you don't obstruct the lateral groove there where the arm runs, but I also closed over that hole, because after the thing came off, it just literally fell off of there, because it did come off the regulator. So I went ahead and went over that hole there just to make sure it couldn't come off again on its own either way. But in this case, I think duct tape is all it needs, because the motor works fine, the regulator works great. It's just a matter of needing to grip the glass. And, you know, it really doesn't matter what it looks like, because everything's hidden by the panel anyway. But duct tape, I think, in this situation is exactly what the doctor ordered. And now you can see, no problem. Goes up, goes down, and the amount of friction on the side is not enough to get, you know, the duct tape is plenty, you know, just to hold it in place. Because that's all you need to do is, you know, it just needed to be held on there. And that was the problem, is that the glass would just come loose. You could hit the button and you would hear the motor running. So I knew that the motor was good, but I didn't know what the situation was, whether the regulator had somehow broken, the gears were chewed up. But that turned out to be all that it was. And so, nice thing about a fix like this is it's just a little bit of duct tape and about an hour's worth of time, and now we got that fixed up real good.